episode of Security 101. This week we're going to walk through how you can protect yourself and your family about people knowing where you are. And this is something that most people don't even realize is here, and this is actually on your iPhone. So today we're going to be focusing on iPhones and iPads. We may feature an Android one in the future if we can figure out how to do it on the Android, but a little bit more on that towards the end. But what we want to talk about today is how to set up your iPhone and your iPad so it doesn't tell everybody where you are every time you post to Facebook. In fact, this is very important for family. We definitely recommend in Facebook and the social networks in particular that you do not tell anybody where you're located, because so many times you're actually in your house and people that you don't really know very well, or friends of friends, or friends of friends of friends, or things like that, are going to know where you live just because you're taking pictures all the time around the house. And if you have kids, you definitely don't want that to happen, because there's a lot of lurkers on Facebook that use Facebook to find kids to go out and do bad things to. And we don't want to encourage that. So what we do is, best thing to do is turn off your location services. So what we're going to do is I have it on my iPhone right here. And on my iPhone right now, I am in the settings. So to get to settings in your iPhone, it's typically on the first screen, unless you've moved it or put it into another folder somewhere. Bring up settings, and we're going to go down to privacy, which is right here. And when you get to privacy, you're going to touch on privacy, and it opens up, and you see I have location services turned on. Now, this is not to say don't turn off location services, because I use them a lot. In fact, if you turn off location services on your iPhone or your iPad, so many things don't work right. And so we don't want you just to turn it off. If you really want to, you can, obviously, but there's no need. There's no real risk to a lot of the things that use location services. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on location services, just like that. And when you come in here, you see I have location services turned on. And the very first thing I have, I'll just give you an example, is my Bank of America account. And I have it turned on. Now, Bank of America does not post where I am. They use my information to where I'm located to tell me if I go look for an ATM machine, what's close to me. So that's something I would probably like to have turned on, so I have that turned on. The next one is turned off just because I don't remember why I even turned it off, but it's another program that wanted my location. I basically told it no. But we'll keep going down here. So here's another one. Here's Bump. And if you've never used Bump before, Bump lets you take two iPhones and bump them together and send your contact information back and forth, kind of like exchanging a business card. But it uses your location to determine who's bumping who, and it doesn't work without location services. It's not sending anything to anybody else about where you're located, so it's okay to leave on. But here's the next one I want to look at. Camera, this one right here. Every iPhone has a camera, and the thing about the camera and location services is every time you take a picture, it stores in metadata where you were when you took that picture, or video now as well. So if you send that picture to somebody, or you put it on Facebook, and you don't really know them very well, they can go in and look at the metadata and see where you were when you took that. So if you're around your house taking pictures of the kids, or you're outside taking pictures of the yard, somebody can figure out where you live based on that location data. And that's not good for everybody in the world to know where you live, especially if you have kids. And this is the problem with some of the kids that have iPhones, is they don't realize this is turned on. Take a picture, they send it to their friends, it gets passed around, it gets put on Facebook. If somebody's following them that really isn't them, isn't really somebody they know, or stalking them in some way, they would be able to find out where you lived really quickly. So I definitely recommend that if you're going to do that kind of stuff, you turn that off. If you don't paste things to Facebook and stuff like that, it's not so bad. I will tell you one of the neat things about it is if your location service is turned on with photos, you bring it into iPhoto, it actually knows where you took the picture, and if you're on vacation, it'll tell you where you were, each photo was, things like that, and that's very neat. In fact, I would definitely recommend if you're going on vacation, you probably turn that on just so you can catalog your pictures better later. But that's something to kind of remember. So I'm going to kind of skip down through my list, because you see I got lots of things installed here. And you see things like Chipotle wants to know where I am so I can find the nearest store to order from, things like that. Here's Maps. But I want to come down here, and I want to get to Facebook. So right here you see Facebook I have turned off. So here's what happens with Facebook. You go into Facebook and you post an update. If that is turned on, it will tell everybody where you were when you did that. So that's another thing you probably don't want people tracking, especially with the social networks, because they're used for so many bad things these days. It's better to be a little bit more anonymous about where you live and things like that. It's a great way to share things with family, but it's not everybody's family on your Facebook account. So that's something to remember. And then scroll down a little bit farther, you see Find Friends. First of all, Find Friends requires it does not share information except to the friends that you have allowed to see it. So It does share your location, and it shares it very often. As a matter of fact, that's the whole idea of the application, is to be able to find friends for parties, or if you're having they use a beach party as an example in when they describe it, is you're having a party on the beach, everyone knows exactly where it's at. You can use Find My Friends, figure out where they are. So that's kind of what the whole idea of Find My Friends is. So it does use and give out your location, but only to people you allow to know. So it's not really that dangerous to leave on. And we'll come on down. And things like Foursquare, they definitely require geolocation information off your GPS, because they need to know where you are you're going to check into, and they're going to give you recommendations, things like that. So, but here comes the next one that I want to talk about, and that's Google+. So Google+ is not very popular yet, but some people still use it in place of Facebook. In fact, I use it more than Facebook because it doesn't have all the garbage that's in Facebook, and it's less annoying. I do use Facebook as well, but just not very much. But same thing with Facebook. You don't want to tell somebody where you are when you're posting a post. You're sitting in your couch and you're watching a show, you make a comment about American Idol or something like that. And when you do that, it's going to tell them exactly where you were, the location you were when you did it. So they're going to know where you live. Not a good idea. So we go on up here a little bit farther. You see I have Google Latitude turned off, which Google Latitude tracks everything you do, where you go, etc. I do turn that off as well. And you will see here Path. I have Path turned on, which is a social network. So you're thinking like, oh, that's not good. However, Path is limited to only 150 of your closest friends. My Path is very limited to what's in it. I mean, I only have a handful of people that are in there, and so I have it turned on. But if you're going to have Path automatically post to Facebook, you should turn that off as well. I do not do that. I have that turned off. However, if you are using Path and you do post to your Facebook account as well, make sure you turn that option off. So we're going to go on up here a little bit farther, and the next one I want to look at really is down here towards the bottom, and that is Twitter. Twitter is just like Facebook. Every time you do a post or you send a picture up to Twitter, it's going to record where you are if you give it access. So the one thing important to remember about the iPhone or the iPad is when you install an app, it's going to say, I want to use your location services. Typically people say, okay, whatever, and keep on going. That means this is turned on in here. If you've never been in here, I definitely recommend you come in and look and see where you're sending your information to, and be a little bit more cautious about it, because, like I said, social networks are, lots of people are using them for bad things these days. And your information is constantly flowing, and they want you to provide the information. People like Facebook and Google Plus want to be very rich as far as the data they provide. However, I think you need to limit some of that data that you can provide. So that's what we covered this week on Security 101. It's your iPhone and iPad. We did not cover Android because after looking through Android for a couple of times now, we cannot figure out how to go to this detail as far as what's being shared. We did find where you can turn off the GPS completely and the master location services, but not down to the program level like you can on the iPhone and the iPad. If we figure out how to do that, or if you know how to do that, please let us know, and we will do another episode of Security 101 on how you can protect yourself using your Android. That's it for Security 101 this week. We'll see you next week.